as the universe operates or functions, it is very, very simple. It's like there are details which seem to be complicated, but the core behind the functioning, behind all of this, like a cells in your body, the functions of different organs and different cells are very different, but the core basis of the cells are the same. The core of the operation is the same. And I think in the universe that is something very, very familiar. The core behind all of this stuff is very simple.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
And we are live. Welcome back, Olga. Welcome back to Bulldog Matt's Healthy Mind, because I renamed the channel. And last time, unfortunately, we ran into technical difficulties. Just as, to some extent, just as this time. It's just, hopefully, everything will be fine till the end of the podcast. Thanks a lot for joining again. I wanted to touch on a couple of questions. For those of our audience who did not watch the previous episode, let me introduce Olga again. She's a former classmate of mine from high school. We met through a synchronicity, at least that's how I view it. When you started your practice, and I felt an inner calling to try spirituality or a spiritual method besides classic psychology. I haven't a clue how this feeling came. It's just, I just felt like I have to seek it out. And the moment I said it out loud, your ad just popped up in front of me. So that's why I think it was a synchronicity, especially because it led to a big breakthrough in my life. Because through the methods and also through your reinforcing my self-belief and confidence, and then focusing on healing, I managed to break a toxic relationship cycle. Neither of us were toxic in our own, but the relationship was, and I was the anxiously attached partner in the anxious avoidant trap. And those of our listeners who know anything about the anxious avoidant trap or attachment style might also know that it's quite rare for people who are anxiously attached to actually walk away. So, please, if you could introduce yourself and now just really briefly your journey from tax advisor to become a spiritual guru and coach, and tell us a little bit about holistic equilibrium in practice.
Hi, Mate. Hi, everyone who is listening or watching us. I'm very glad to be here again. Thank you for the invitation. And I really enjoyed this chance to practice little English. I love this language much. So, how did I get here from the tax advisory? It was a long trip actually through personal traumas that I just get help that I accepted, and I experienced many stuff that I had to learn myself. I have to put it in my very rational way of thinking. So it was a long way, many coincidences, and many time for learning, and also many occasions when I just had to, or not had to, but I enjoyed try and use my intuition, and I went into it deeply each time more and more deeply. So this is one training after other, and then one trip to learn drumming. However, I wasn't connected to drums at all. And that was very life-turning for me when I learned that I can do something else besides the tax advisor, or instead the tax advisor, because for the time I had many papers. So yeah, it was a very, very long row of coincidences and help from the universe, and that my decisions, that I let things go, I let those things that are safe, which are familiar, which I was used to. I just let them go. I decided to dive in something unknown. So
It,
this is the short
it's
story.
interesting you said that because I appreciate that because those those of us who watched the previous video would get the full story. Um, the reason I find it really interesting is that recently I got obsessed with learning more about Jungian psychology, and everything you mentioned just makes perfect sense from a Jungian psychology standpoint for individuals who take on the journey of individuation. Um, and it's sort of based on my experience, you face a lot of things you suppressed or denied from yourself. And through that journey, which is not comfortable, I might add, that's what's actually printed on the back of my t-shirt, which I've designed. It's a quote from Jung. Um, There's no coming to consciousness without pain. And through that process, you basically find your authentic self, um, get more in tune with things you have pushed down and hidden from yourself, start believing in your intuition, and maybe acquire ancient knowledge or skills or interests from your shadow. Um, and as you integrate it, you become more authentic, happier, and your real soul finds peace.
Basically, for me, it was
Jung
almost
would
all
have,
about patterns. I'm sorry. So it
no
was all
worries,
about
Jung
patterns which
would have,
weren't known. Okay, I finished the sentence.
sorry, I think you used the term coincidence. I, Jung would probably have characterized it as synchronicities. Um, and yes, we all have these patterns, or most of us do. Um, Personally, I had a lot of issues, but I realized as I was going through quite abruptly and violently through Negredo or the blackening, or I think it's also referred to as the dark night of the soul. I realized that I had an adaptation performer persona, which was brilliant back in the days because it helped me survive and cope, and it has its own benefits. The problem is that I sort of identified with that fake persona and thought that it was me, and my soul started rebelling against it. So um, part of the journey is me doing this YouTube channel, and there will be other changes as well in my life. There had been, and I'm much happier for it. Right. How do you define holistic equilibrium? Which that's the best translation I could come up with from Hungarian of your company name
Basically, it's
or
not about the
holistic
holistic
balance.
equilibrium, but equilibrium, holistic corner. And it is something I cannot explain you exactly
Okay.
why this is the name, because it just happened when I was thinking about, okay, I will start my work with this stuff. Okay, I need a name. Then I just stepped into the shower, and when I stepped out, I just heard a voice in my head that Equilibrium Holistic Workshop. And okay, sounds good. That's it. Equilibrium, yes, it's balance. It's something which is when both sides are equal, and you try to be somewhere in the middle. So not something which is very stable or steady, but this kind of moving balance, or I put it something, I interpret it in this kind of way. Why holistic? Holistic is because I'm working with the mental parts, I mean, talking and visualizing, which is conscious, and also working with the physical part with the body, which is totally unconscious, what is happening inside. Because when I communicate with the body of the person, it's not about the mind. That's why holistic. It works with the
It's kind of
total.
funny, and if our audience didn't think that I was nuts before, then probably they are sure that I am nuts after making this admission. But earlier this week, we had a session, you and I told you that I had again a gastritis flare up. And through that session, you showed me cards, and then I don't even remember. Oh, it was unrelated. That's why I could not categorize it. You showed me a card with dogs, and I love dogs. Based on Chinese astrology, I'm a dog myself. I do have a dog. I always loved dogs. Um, when I was little, and I think mom or a friend of mine brought me to a shamanic uh, initiation or sort of ceremony, um, and they had to find my totemic or astral animal. It was a tinder wolf, and I can still see a tinder wolf in my dreams. And the moment I looked into that picture, I felt a lot of warmth and happiness, but it again unlocked some painful memories, and I ended up crying. And right after that, uh, I probably had a norovirus infection. Um, I could barely sleep through the night, got an extreme flare up, couldn't even get to the hospital. I only managed to get a bucket next to my bed and some water, thank God. Um, and at some point, I thought that I might die out of dehydration because I couldn't keep water down, and for hours I was just throwing off stomach acid. But I was praying, and at some point I was like, okay, if that is it, that is it. I accept it. I don't know why it would be the end. I don't think so, but um, I believe in the universe. I believe in God, and I just made peace with it. And the moment I said it, the whole thing quieted down. And after that, I had like a good 11 hours of sleep and very vivid dreams. And I woke up, I ate something, I was still recovering, but all of a sudden, ideas came into my mind. I started writing them down. And soon enough, I will make a bold move based on that and create something. And everything just started falling in line in a sense that people from my past started contacting me. And as I shared my idea, help arrived. Again, help arrived. Again, help arrived. As if I was sending signals to the universe. and the universe was responding, but like immediately. And since we started or embarked on this journey together, so started seeing numbers in my dreams, but also awake. When they appear quite frequently, or if I wake up exactly at the same time, I tend to pay attention to those numbers. And with the magic of AI, you can immediately do some sort of complex research. What does it mean as an angelic number? What does it mean in astrology? What does it mean from a Jungian interpretation? But the rare thing was with my numbers that irrespective of where I looked it up, it meant the same sort of nudges from the universe that, yep, that's exactly where you need to go. So I'm eternally grateful for you because had we not met, I would be in a totally different place. And since we had our first session last year, all these synchronicities and changes and everything just started accelerating exponentially. And I'm no longer afraid. I'm happy and I'm getting freer and freer emotionally, mentally, spiritually every single day. Um, and I can see physical changes as a result of that. I started becoming very looser. Um, my movement is more fluid. I can't necessarily explain it with rational terms, but I'm happy.
I'm glad to hear it.
So thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
No, thank you. Last time we touched on, well, actually, you mentioned that you're a perpetual student. I absolutely love that term because I like to characterize myself the same way. But if you had to pick one core principle or method that unifies all your different tools, Reiki, Tarot, astrology, somatic work, what would be the common denominator or unifying principle, would you say?
Very, very difficult question. As
Sorry about that.
it's okay. I like thinking as well, not only learning but thinking. So, if I go out of my rational part, I would say it is astrology, which is, all this stuff is, for me, it's like a language. Astrology gives the grammar part of the language, the structure, and the other parts are different parts of the language. So, if you put all the things together, you can understand of that language even more and more. So if I have to say something which unites all this stuff, it is the understanding. Let's say this one. But as a kind of an organizer, for me, it is astrology because for me this is something which I started with, which was the and is the rational part for me within all the spiritual stuff because it is very very logical and it explains very many things. And if I think about the world, if I communicate with people, if I'm just on the train or I don't know, on the bus and watching around and looking for other people, I am thinking to astrology and I view the life around me through astrology. So I think this is the basis and basis for my mind. And the other part, the physical part, is the
That's a
intuition.
tax advisor.
Yeah. I have to see the structures.
No, it's not only that, but for our skeptical part of our audience, uh, I understand why you're skeptical, especially a lot of men are. I would have been. The only reason I wasn't too skeptical about astrology as a man is because I was fascinated with history and I took a look at the origins of astrology. And it was, I'm not gonna give out all the details because I would like to encourage anyone who is skeptical to do the research with a large language model or AI. That's really a piece of cake. Um, but I can say that it is pure mathematical work. So observation, star signs, um, and understanding a lot of things. And it goes back as far as Galileo. So, and a lot of scientific breakthroughs came through um, astrology. And in my case, it was so precise, especially about the gastritis and this recent event, that my ex-wife, she was abroad during the time, but on Monday, she gave me a call to, hey, pay attention to your tummy and make sure you don't eat anything you shouldn't be eating because, you have a thin stomach lining. And I said, okay, but why? And she knows my star sign and everything. She sent me an excerpt that predicted the very day when I will have the gastritis flare up. I mean, you can say that, okay, uh, even my broken clock shows the time right twice a day, but not 23 times a day. So, and it does. Um, that makes sense. Do you mind if I ask questions in a sense that uh, it's a little bit selfish of me, I know, but part of what I'm part of what I'm trying to do here in this channel is that because I've put down all the weight and I no longer uh, feel afraid of being judged or need that kind of external validation, I don't mind sharing intimate and very vulnerable parts of my life, including my diagnosis and whatever I've gone through, because it no longer owes me. But the reason I'm doing this is because I would like to encourage and motivate people to not to do the same and not to jump immediately, but to seek out help. And maybe if they find anything useful in this channel, then start implementing at least parts of it, or contact you, or seek out a therapist and things like that. So, as I touched on it before, I had quite a rich history of diagnosis and childhood trauma and other psychological and mental issues. And um, let's talk a little bit about anxious attachment and trauma bonding and the internal family systems model. You mentioned breaking an awful relationship where you recognized your own contribution in the dynamic. I understand the psychology of this, and there's a good reason why I praised you a lot for this, and especially owning and recognizing your own um, part in it. But from an energetic and holistic perspective, how do you explain or why people with an anxious attachment style feel an often irresistible magnetic pull towards avoidant partners?
Because this way they can heal the wounds. If they have this attachment style and they are together with people who just don't push these buttons, they cannot heal. They have to experience this energy. You can heal the energy which is outside. I mean, which is on the upper in the upper layers, which is close to the what is to the surface. And if you're a couple, if you're with a person which is always pushes your buttons, then you have the chance to recognize these buttons, learn from it, and heal this part of it. If you do not work with it, you will experience the same shit. Sorry for this word, but this is This is the, I mean, in the
No, it's
next
okay.
relationship and in the next relationship and in the other relationship, if you do not heal this part, every person you meet
I'm
and
gonna,
they, hmm? Yeah. So every person you
sorry,
meet
carry on. I have a thought about it.
and every person which pushes a button on you, I mean, which causes really strong emotions. These emotions are kind of reminders, kind of red flags, not about the other person, but about yourself. Because we have energy
Sorry,
which is,
I have to
yeah,
interrupt.
okay.
The reason I do have to interrupt is this is mind blowing what you're saying. Two things. One is I'm gonna dedicate the next episode about why I'm choosing to be single and quite happy about it. There are two aspects of it, but at first it was exactly that. But um, Jung had a saying that. So what you're saying aligns perfectly, not just with Jungian, but other modern school psychology. That it's unbelievable. So the Jungian interpretation or the quote is until you make the unconscious become conscious, it will lead your life and you will call it fate. But if you think about it in this particular context, until you are able to heal these wounds, you will seek out the same partners and the same story over and over and over again, just with different faces. But it's not only Jungian psychology. Modern attachment theory has this kind of explanation. They just explain it in a way that you're trying to resolve a childhood trauma or project your shadow onto your partner. Your If you want to have a neurological explanation, then your nervous system is trained in a certain way, and don't find you don't find relationship with a secure partner or with another anxious person for that matter exciting, because you also confuse that nervous system toughening and overreaction and panic with love and excitement. And this is so again, I find it unbelievable that um, eh, Jungian psychology even breaks it down to the extent that depending on if you're an empath, and I'm going to dedicate a series about being an empath, what does it mean, and uh, they have subtypes, and um, each subtype attracts a different type of toxic relationship, and so what I'm trying to say with this is that every road leads to Rome. So irrespective of whether I'm approaching this thing from an energetic standpoint, from a neurological explanation with biochemistry, modern psychology, um, attachment healing, internal family systems, Jungian analysis, it doesn't matter because the conclusion is the same. Almost the explanation is the same. And I find that unbelievable and
As I
fascinating.
as I
Sorry.
see these things, as the universe operates or functions, it is very very simple. I mean, it's like there are details which seem to be complicated, but the core behind the functioning, behind all of this, like a cells in your body, the functions of different organs and different cells are very different, but the core basis of the cells are the same. The core of the operation is the same, and I think in the universe that is something very very familiar. The core behind all of this stuff is very simple, but there is a part in a human thinking, way of thinking, and human mind, we have to complicate things and we have to interpret things. But as I see it, many things, words are. Sometimes I have a feeling that we do not have enough words to put something in words, because when you feel something, it's much more rich than when you put it in words. And if we try to explain something or write around something or put it in writing, in books, in this and that, it becomes very complicated. But if you put the things together and you start to feel it, it becomes very, very simple. And this is the reason.
The other element,
No, this is the reason why you
the other
see
element,
the core is the same of all this. What is that? Of this, just sorry, it's weekend and my brain is a little bit tired. All of this,
it's okay, sorry.
the psychology, the energetic, the astrology, this and that. So the core is the same. The center point is the same. The source is the same.
Um, I used to work as a process engineer. I absolutely loved that. I still use a lot of things. And there's almost like I could create a mirror process mapping and step mapping. And the other fascinating thing I've noticed in what you just said earlier on whoever can push these buttons and create this energetic trigger, we should think about what the hell does it tell about me? That's a method I started practicing consciously, but from a Jungian perspective, I think the technical term is reverse shadow mapping. So the idea is that if you identify a situation that really upsets you, so let's say you hate people who brag, right? The reverse shadow mapping is okay, I hate people who brag. Let me ask the question, what is it in my shadow, or what part of me am I denying that makes me so upset when I see it outside? And the answer from a Jungian perspective to this particular example is that maybe I crave external validation. Maybe I want masses to cheer me. Maybe I want to be acknowledged for what I'm contributing. But I find this because I was conditioned or whatever. That's not me, by the way, but I just came up with an example. But I was conditioned to think that bragging is disgusting, and therefore, even though I had this kind of deep desire, I denied myself of it, pushed it and deep down and suppressed it, which created this anger response when I see it in someone else. And the more you can practice it, this reverse shadow mapping, um, the more resilient you can become, because the more, as a result of that, you dig more things up, and um, you end up, if something happens, you step back, start thinking, and instead of seeing people as enemies or just blaming them for what happens to you, hating them for their actions and reactions, especially towards you, you will see everything as like, oh, that's another puzzle. What does it tell? What is the universe or my psyche trying to tell about myself? What else do I need to get to the surface? It's really powerful. Now I'm beginning to understand why your method um, helped me to get a lot of breakthroughs. And I think in my case, it was mostly because I just listened to my intuition, but because that's what you're doing and what you're teaching is so unfamiliar that I had to just let all the guard down, give it faith, and just blindly follow. And as a result of that, my protective mechanism, or the layer of in internal family systems, I think it's the uh, intellectualizer or manager or performer could not intervene and start thinking about, oh, it means that, and you should blah blah blah, and and sidetrack the show. So okay, sorry, I'm just I almost feel like a child um, when you explain something and it connects multiple dots and pathways. Thank you. The other question, and again, referring back to our previous conversation last time, you said something along those lines that really hit an accord with me, not a nerve, but an accord. Lay down what is not yours. For our listeners' sake, in psychology, complex post traumatic stress disorder, and a symptom of that is people pleasing and codependency. What is the first step in discerning if a feeling, boundary, or behavior is truly yours, or if it was implanted, or if it's a trauma pattern? What I'm trying to ask is, how do you know what is not yours in layman's terms?
Um, uh, I try to remember those times when I could hardly differentiate what is not, what is not mine. So it's much easier. I think the very first step is to, and what is difficult to allow, that you can do something different from what the surrounding says to you. And if this thought is within there, then you hear this, let's say it sounds in your head that, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this and that. And then you just stop and, okay, I have to, or I want to. This is the first question. And okay, why? And who's telling? So what is the source? Who is telling this? Is it my, just ask this question for yourself. Um, I had an illness a bit more than a year ago, I think. 5 days of fever, nothing else, just fever. I understood that because it was a kind of initiation, maybe it was a beavatás. Sorry, I put it in Hungarian. Maybe might will translate it
Yeah,
for you.
initiation
Initiation,
is
initiation
the
to fire.
correct yeah.
Because in one of my dreams during this fever time, I saw a dream that I was just pushed in fire with my face, and I understood that, okay, I just have to be in it. That's all. And for many days, I was between dream and being there, so it just like a half dream state, and many pictures were there, many
I
thoughts, and
can
so
relate
very
to that.
very, very good stuff, very interesting. And close to the end, there was just many talks and this, that, and I was just, okay, stop. And I imagined myself just was lying down in a baby pose, this rounded pose, and around me was a cup, a glass cup, and all of the thoughts which are not mine, they were outside, and inside was silence.
Wow.
And it was so magical. But that time I knew this stuff that yes, there are many stuff which is not mine, which is the thoughts which are not mine because we learned it, we are used to it. But yeah, the way to get here is that to listen to them and ask, okay, do I want it? Why I have to do this? Why? And when you get the answer, if you are still unsure, just ask why. Okay, explain why. Talk with yourself about this. And which is really helps is to be in this situation, be like a little bit outside of it. So imagine yourself like you are not the thoughts, but you are somebody who is watching you thinking or listening to this stuff. So like step out of the situation and just look outside from the outside of this. So it's an interesting game.
If, with your permission, I'm going to add this as an alternative method to my framework, which I've created. I've just finished recording the series of trigger mapping and pattern interrupt, CBT, but also combining it with ITIL and quality management practices. And the method I loved in quality management is called the five whys. And you just explain the different interpretation or different use case for the same thing, and paired it up with imagination. And I think it's quite powerful. Um, I I feel like I almost feel like a child. You know, when we are children and assuming that at least we have a few happy moments and days, children are fascinated by the word. They're happy and they are so flabbergasted and surprised about, oh, how that works and how things are going on. And that's exactly that kind of positive curiosity and excitement is what I feel during this journey, and especially when I'm having conversations with people like you.
Thank you.
um, okay, another topic, and again, I do apologize from our audience for, to some extent, using this platform as well to ask questions about my own crap. I had a, I had something that is characterized in the internal family systems psychological approach as the inner conflict model. And I have sort of like I wouldn't call it a fight anymore, but I was talking about me having an intellectual and moral and very conscious self, and a very subconscious, instinctive self. The conscious part, or what is up, is mate and the INFJA or advocate. The subconscious is my shadow, which I characterized or pictured as real man Sukuna or the wolf. Um, and sometimes they are in conflict, less and less for me as I'm beginning to some extent merge them and integrate into something healthy. How do you see these um, inner conflicts or tensions or negotiations within the human psyche through the lens of psycho astrology or tarot?
Um, Basically, in astrology, there are the planets are kind of archetypes, which are within everybody. But in each person has a dynamic three or four of them, which is basically their behavior, like an internal archetype. When you're in a certain situation, you just choose one of them, let's say, and appear as this and or appear as that. Sometimes they in conflict with each other, and it just causes difficulties. If you are not conscious about this stuff, you feel it in conflicts, you feel it in difficulties, you feel it that there is stress inside. If you are conscious that you just, okay, recognize it, okay, I put it on the shelf, I know that this is happening, and you can treat it in another way. This is the one part. The other part which you mentioned, the rational part, let's say, and this dark side, this dark part, is for me it's like the sun, the mental, the way of the sun, the way of the so many times I've used the word feminine, oh, masculine. I just couldn't remember the other the other side is masculine. So this is the very rational, the clear. It's a bit more of masculine part. This really a little bit unstable, just not unstable because it's cyclic, it's changing, it's unconscious, it's full of feelings. This is the feminine part of us. It is fine that they are not the same because they don't have to be the same. They are different energies. And
Of
if you can
course.
use them in harmony, that you can operate them very well. But yes, that sometimes they are in conflict. But basically, what is very interesting side for me, what we can see as a moon and as a sun in our astrologic map. Usually, we know the sun part, and the sun part shows our suns and shows the pattern of our fathers. And the moon sign, which we not often know what it is. The moon sign shows the soul, shows the secrets, shows the feelings, it shows the mother side of ourselves. And it's very interesting. If you view this stuff, you can see that, okay, I do exactly the same things as my father, or I do exactly the same things as my mother. But if you learn how this moon and how your moon and your sun signs functionate, what are the treasures in these energies, you can still leave this because they are in you. You cannot avoid them, but you can use them in totally other way. But it's because the sun and the moon sign and all of the planet, the sign itself is a pack of energy. And if you can use one aspect of this energy and you can use other aspect of this energy. So this is the magic in it. You can see the patterns of the family, patterns of the parents very clearly. And if you talk to the other, you can see how he or she uses this energy, and you can also see the possibilities within it. And it's very magical. You see the possibilities, but the other person is who decides whether to use them or not, whether to step up or not. So it's like you see the magic in that person and you can do nothing with this to move his or her if she or her doesn't decide it to move. So yeah, but still you can see.
Probably you could read it on my facial expressions, but I was just like, I can't believe it. And it gave me so much joy. Uh, but because basically what I was listening to is a different terminology to describe Jungian analysis: the anima versus the animus, moon and the sun, or mother and father. Uh, you even use the term archetypes regarding tarot, which is how Jungian psychology is sort of like structured. And I was like, I can't believe it. It's fascinating. Excellent. Thank you. Related to this boundary strength, there's a very famous and a really damn good uh, coach. He used to be a therapist, but he really didn't like the shackles and the confines of the regulated therapy sessions. His name is Adam Lane Smith. I referred to him several times in previous episodes. So if you have anxious or avoidant, especially if you have avoidant attachment style, or something in between, disorganized, quiet disorganized, fearful avoidant, I highly recommend you check him out, especially if you're a man, because he provides an explanation from a solely logical and scientific and neurotransmitter side of things. It's unbelievable. He often talks about building an inner fortress, which a lot of avoidants do. In holistic tools such as somatic therapy or energy healing, how do you help someone with an anxious attachment style or codependency or someone who is a people pleaser, or all three of these, like I was, build external boundary strength necessary to just say no without guilt, without explanation, without justifying your decision.
Basically, the most fastest tool which I use is touch-based technique. When we are working with visualization, with in a state which is not totally conscious, but in a kind of a half sleep, and we are working with the mental part, and I add the touch in it. When something is happen, a new way of thinking, a new thoughts, um, new wording, new feelings, and I add this very stable physical safety, feel of safety. This together is very healing. So what is the base of my touch? This is the very strong feel of safety, because which is when the wounds are collected in our lives, our physical lives. This is the childhood, and something is not okay in your child. I mean, you done something and you receive some, what is that? Some, not penalty, but you know what I mean. Instead of acceptance, you receive the punishment. Yeah, not penalty, punishment. You don't get this
Or
physical feeling.
negligence, or
Yeah. You don't get this physical safety, and this is what I put in. I do it as intuitionally. I just nowadays heard a lecture which explained for me. Yes, this is this it is. So as I felt that what I need to do, what is the touch, what is the movement, where to touch, what to do, it's always based on my intuition. But the rational part is that yes, this physical safety is very important. And if you are putting in your head something very, very new, and your body feels that this new stuff is safe, then it is easy to change. On the other hand, if we are online, I cannot touch you online. So it's based on the energy which is between us in the online stuff, because there are always energy movement, and I can put this through visualizations. But in online, this may take more time than offline physically, because touch counts very much. But in online, we can put this stuff through visualizations and through when you are in a different in a state of mind when you are not so rational or not so conscious, but in a, let's say it's a half dreaming, or how to put it. Yeah, I think you know this state of mind when you are not really there in the situation, but somewhere little bit far away, and you listen to my voice. There I can put those words, that those feelings, those focus points, and the energy which can put those things on their place. And what
it's almost
should
like
be injected, the feel of safety. This is what helps to put the things on their place and to fix them there.
interesting. Again, um, I don't know what the Jungian equivalent of this would be, but again, from different psychological school perspective, you just described a different method of pattern interrupt and also overcoming the hurdle in these relationship dynamics, which is our psyche and our neurological system is trained in a way that if in a scale you need to balance between safety and reward or desire, convenience, safety always comes first on an instinctive level. So the biggest conflict, as I see it, in an anxious avoidant partnership is the interpretation, or if you like, in your words, the energetic part of feeling safe. In my psychological obsession, it's it's more like a cognitive safety feeling. Anxious people feel safe if they can co-regulate with their partner, if they're close, if they receive reassurance. Avoidant people, their neurological adaptations and safety adaptations work in a way that they feel safe if they have enough space and if they can deal with the emotions and everything else on their own. They shut down everything, retreat, and then they can breathe again because their nervous system is calm. And the reason I find it, again, unbelievably powerful, what you just said, is because you gave an alternative method. Because not all these approaches, something might work for out of 100 people with the same symptoms, 20 people, but the same thing wouldn't help the other 80. A different approach might work for 30. There might be overlaps. And you just gave our audience and me an idea of, okay, maybe that could help a lot of people as well if they, because if they tried conditioning, if they tried internal family systems, if they tried deep analysis and then trying to integrate those parts, if they tried inner child work, if they tried and these things failed, because they might do, avoidance, people with avoidant attachment styles or disorganized people who lean heavily on the avoidance side, they don't react well to talk therapy, to classical analytical therapy, be it Jungian, Freudian, or anything else, because they don't like to talk about their feelings, but they react pretty well to conditioning and pattern interrupt and having a logical breakdown of what's going on from a biochemical perspective, and then trigger learned behavior, desired behavior. That's how I do it. Almost like a computer. They like this approach, and you just gave our audience a totally different, not just explanation, but also a means to that end. And I think that's powerful. There's an interesting book which a couple therapists recommended I read, which I did back in the days. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. I can't remember the author now, but I'm going to put it either in the comments or um, somewhere in the description. Let me take a note of that. So, somatic healing and intuition. Somatic healing and most of what you do is non-rational, which is why probably it worked for me best, because it sort of circumvented or hijacked my um, conscious or rationalized intellectualizing defense mechanisms. um, it bypasses the mind. What is the critical difference between intellectually understanding a trauma versus somatically releasing that emotion?
If you understand it intellectually, it doesn't mean that you can do with it anything. It's very often and basically what I see it usually in relationships or of women. When they are in relationship, the women who I talk with, I mean, not general, not now, but I usually see that they understand that the pattern is not right, what they are doing is not right, or what the other part, their man doing is not right. They understand, but they just cannot do anything with that. Yes, I understand. Yeah, but oh, I still do this and that, and nothing happens. So understanding is not enough. It's important. It's important to, understanding is good if it can support your internal process, because you can, with the understanding, you can be more conscious about the changes. So if we working physically with somatic or unconscious part, if you put the conscious part, the intellectual part to it, then you can, okay, I know that we were working on this situation or this on that energy. So I know that in this case, I can try something different than before. And this helps to be conscious in certain situations and relationships. But if you do only the conscious part, it is not enough. Because there is a reason why you are choosing the same decisions, the same doors, let's put it in. With the energetic work, I made the other doors clean. And in where you are in a situation, you have the choice to choose a different door. So if you have the conscious part of it, if you have the intellectual part of it, you know that, okay, this time I have not only one door to step in, but I have 3 more. Okay, let's find them. And this is the importance of the intellectual part. But these doors have to be cleaned by something.
So basically, you remove the hurdles, you remove the mental blockage there. Intuition. Your services include, again, tarot counseling, and Jung also looked into this, and the archetypes are all present in the cards. My favorite is the trickster. You use it to gain clarity in specific situation. In your experience, what is the most common or frequently occurring energy block you see in clients who are stuck in old trauma cycles? And what is one simple daily practice our listeners can use to unblock their intuition and energetic flow?
The very basic things
I
that
know what
are
you
used,
recommended to me, but it's
which are usually come up,
sorry.
is the lack of safety, lack of trust in ourselves, in our bodies, in our intuition. And the other part is the negative, how to put it, hitrendszert. What is it in English?
Um, negative minds, negative mindset, or um,
It's not really mind, but it's a
negative internal
beliefs,
system,
maybe
negative
beliefs, system
faith.
of beliefs. Yeah, it's system of beliefs. So, and this system of beliefs, which are basically these voices of other people in our heads, which is not ours. So these patterns which are operating within us, this you have to do this and you have to do that, these people pleasing patterns, which are very common. This is the other stuff. When many, like on my cards, which I usually use in work with people, with other people, these are birds, and there are very often there are. It's 8 of Swords maybe, but it's very often when there is a person with eyes closed, and there the birds are around her face, and she's listening to those birds. But that is not herself, because she doesn't see herself, her true self. She just hears the words of others. And this is the other part too. Okay, be conscious of what are the voices, what they are talking within your head, what they want to talk to tell you, and is it your true or not? Is it true or not? What do you hear? And is it yours or not? So this two main blockages that I see: the self trust, the question of safety, and it's not about the financial safety rather than safety as a person, safety, emotional safety, and the other part is the inner,
Emotional, yeah.
yeah, emotional safety, and the other part is the inner voices, the patterns. self beliefs.
Interesting. Makes perfect sense. Sorry for keeping you here for so long. I just really find it fascinating. Um, there's another good psychologist I follow online and really like listening to her. Her name is uh, Mel Robbins, or Dr. Mel Robbins. Uh, Sorry, she's American, so I should have pronounced her name as Mel Robbins. Her website asks, "What would you gift yourself with?" And she emphasizes on choosing yourself. Um, and she often alludes to taking immediate action. What is the smallest but most tangible step our listeners who feel paralyzed can take today to move away from intellectualization and actively choosing themselves want to um, if they want to try a bit more spiritual or energetic way.
I think the most important as a first step is that try to recognize what are your actual needs. So if you are in the middle of something and just you feeling this urging feeling that I have to do this and I have to do that and it's a bad day. Okay, just stop and ask the question, what do you want? What do you need now? It's very common when we're talking about the eating disorders as well. Okay, what is your real need? When you put this entire table of chocolate in your mouth, what is your real need? When you feel that I have to do this and that, okay, what do you really need now? And I think it's very difficult to step. It's difficult to recognize, but I think this is the first step to stop
In
just for a couple of seconds and to put the focus on yourself.
one of my previous videos, I dedicated, I think, a series, three or four, on neurotransmitters, and there are certain commonalities, and I find it interesting that you used the example of chocolate. Um, the If I want to explain that kind of urge, especially when we are feeling anxious, to eat chocolate, banana, honey, usually sweet carbs, is because of their potentiation of serotonin and dopamine release, which is a feel good hormone. And then it's almost like our way of self medicating.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
from spiritual
Um,
perspective, is this is love. The sweet taste is love, lack of love.
it's interesting because since I've changed um, and following your guidance, I just started listening a bit more to my body. I started craving different foods as well. And and my preferences and needs change as well based on my needs. So I sometimes, or quite recently, started craving fruits, a lot of fruits with honey, and I did not want to eat meat until lunch or whatever, which is very unique of me, so to say. And from a physiological perspective or point of view, what it did to me is um, it just built up my energy output and started exposing my body to way more fast acting sugars and fructose, um, but in absence of both fats and proteins, which stimulates FGF21 hormone production and accelerates it gives you a boatload of energy. And also, in my case, it creates heat waves in the body. And recently I started connecting the dots that when did I feel like that? And it was always when I was either feeling lethargic, stressed, or in need of a boost. Well, in one particular situation, I had the phenomena of feeling anxiety, but from an avoidant perspective. And it was like, that's not me. What the hell is going on? And using my own system, I started troubleshooting. Had a warm bath, tried to relax, breathing practice, then I did stretching. I still had that kind of anxiety, but avoidant triggered anxiety. And I was like, I've never in my fucking life ever been an avoidant. Um, what the hell is going on? And then I realized that I unlocked a long forgotten or suppressed talent of mine of absorbing and feeling other people's crap. But the moment I identified it, I realized that my central nervous system needed a boost. So I just hacked together pomegranates, grapes, banana, watermelon with a boatload of Hanukkah honey and a good half a kilogram. I ate it, and all of a sudden, I no longer had that kind of anxiety or these kind of feelings, but instead I had that energy explosion, and I needed to go for a walk. And walking puts you in a meditative state. So um, I could even explain half of the triggers and the cures that you're prescribing purely from a nutritional or physiological perspective, and I just find it interesting. Um, Last but not least, and I'm really grateful, and I'm terribly sorry. I know, especially because you're in continental Europe, so it's extremely late now. I'm terribly sorry. Um, where can our listeners find you? Do you have a where can they book a session, and how can they follow your work?
Basically, why I'm active on Facebook. I have a website which collects all the information, and I'm active on Facebook, so people can find me either on my website or at my Facebook. And I also have the opportunity for booking a half an hour session totally free if somebody has a question and just wants to understand something or wants to see a little bit clearer. There are opportunity to book a half an hour session and we can talk through the basics and I can give my suggestions to make the way easier.
Excellent. I've seen you also on Instagram. I did not follow you because the groups that were offered for me were mainly, um, I can't remember, but it was like for women to do this, for women to do that. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't put my nose there because it doesn't belong there. Um, but um, if you
I'm
have
not
any
really,
Instagram
I'm
groups
not really
as
active on
well that
Instagram.
is open for the
Mhm. I'm not an Instagram
okay.
person, so I'm not looking.
The-
So for me, it's difficult to understand what is useful to put on Instagram. But usually, the target is that to be active on Instagram too. But now it just I cannot fit it in my time to dive in the Instagram philosophy and working. But I have also the Instagram page. Actually, I have a not monthly but weekly letter writing email letters. They are in Hungarian, sorry. So I can say that okay,
it's okay.
just subscribe and you will get all the information and the interesting writings and this and that, but they are all in Hungarian. Um, because they are all the my availabilities there. But on my website, you can also find my availabilities, my Instagram site, my Facebook site, everything. But I can put them
If
the
you
availability in the comments.
if you want to be my victim or guinea pig, probably in December, um, I will roll out an AI package solution to streamline the different social media platforms, and more than happy to help you with that if you happy to take on the risk because you will be my client zero.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Excellent. It was an absolute pleasure and honor. My inner child was just radiating all through this conversation. Thanks a lot for coming again, and I wish you a very happy, successful, and authentic life and journey. And I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. It was a
All right.
pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Olga. Just a second.